latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Sending you guys a bit of a review video on a new product from Dometic. So with me here today, I've got the Dometic Rarotonga Redux. So the Rarotonga was a model we saw in 21 and carries on 22, but they've introduced this new kind of almost eco version of it. So what they've really done is kind of gone back to being something that's a bit more sustainable. So the entire tent as we see it pretty much here is made from basically single-use plastic or recycled plastic. So if we take, for example, a single 500 milliliter of plastic water bottle, 10 of these will work out to do about 1 square meter of the tent. So we take this tent, which is available in a 401 size or a 601 size. So you're looking about 285 bottles in the larger 601 tent, which seems quite remarkable. You can get an awful lot of material out of 285 of these, which shows you that, not an awful lot can go a long way, really. It's based, like I said, on kind of the Rarotonga model, which is all about basically giving something that's brilliant in terms of quality, loads of spec, unique features built into it, but then certainly more of an eco kind of feel. So there are certain features on this that you don't necessarily see on the normal Rarotonga model, not only to do with kind of things like you basically got less PVC, again, would make it a better of an eco story, but then you've got almost more mesh throughout the tent as well, so have a better airflow in, make it a little bit cooler. Things like the PE ground sheets being removed and replaced with this eco fabric. So there's little touches everywhere that kind of just show that Dometic are trying to take the right steps, and for me, I see this being the start of a bit more of a bigger range throughout the years as we go by. Dometic have done more things in their kind of caravan awning range with the Ligera and another model as well as their Tourings for VW. So they're tapping into this bit and trying to be a bit more kind of eco-savvy, shall we say. But let's talk about kind of the Rarotonga Redux on its own. So 2 sizes available, 401, which is a 4-berth, 3 meters wide, or we got the 6-berth in the 601, which is 440 wide. So a really great sort of size, all about being generous with its kind of per person measurements it gives you. You've got tons of features still built into this, so we're looking at this really nice kind of, I've actually, if anything, I prefer kind of the material of this, the way it looks, the way it feels, in comparison to their normal version. I think it looks a lot smarter. The blue just glistens and it almost changes colour again. I'm not sure what's with recycled fabric as it is. It almost changed a little bit in the light, and it's a really smart looking bit of kit. Great internal height as well. You've got this kind of almost very frame tent kind of design, gives you better internal height in the corners. I mean, I'm about 6'2", and you can see even in the corners, and we'll look in a second when we go inside, how much internal room you get from such a small footprint. Essentially is a free zone tent, so it's like a sleeping, living, and you've got this open canopy. Now, even though at the moment there's no kind of enclosure for the front of the canopy, you can use, I believe, the normal Rarotonga enclosures, because the zip length should be the same. So you've still got the functionality along with the kind of the eco story. Each beam's done individually, as you can see from our own pitching and packing video. We've also done a separate sort of tutorial video of me just waffling on about how I'm putting it up and the manner and certain ways you might do things, which hopefully is a bit helpful to some. But if not, we've got our normal Rarotonga video you can also watch. And I pitched this on my own, I'm pretty sure, in about sort of 10-11 minutes. Which means it's brilliant for going away for shorter trips, but also longer trips as well. Some features that you may not initially see are things like the ability of webbing straps located everywhere to give really great torsion, and you've got like a little reflective tint as well, so when you shine your torch you get a glisten back, so you can actually see, hopefully, regardless of what state you are at night, you can see where it is. A manual pump comes supplied with it as well, so again, really nice sort of downdraft pump, oversized, and it's a high pressure pump designed to go about 10 psi with the tubes as well, so it's a little bit kind of more air than you would probably get, that you would normally have with a typical tent. That's where maybe something like the electric pump is probably a better case of locating what pressure you're putting into it, just because with the way the valve system works, it's only on a downstroke you truly get a reading on the gauge. It tends to flick up and down, so electric pumps could be a bit more helpful, but not necessarily need it. It's more for the making sure what you're putting in is what it needs to be. like I said, you've got loads of mesh in here, so literally nearly every single panel has mesh into it. The front canopy's got mesh, the side canopy's got mesh, the front door as a whole's got mesh. You've got mesh down the bottom, which we'll look at in a minute, with the rear kind of storage section, which again is quite unique to kind of Dometic ranges of tents. So small details, things like all your clips and clasps, little webbing buckles. So really nice, and you've got tons of extra kind of room. So if you're not the best at packing it away, makes life a little bit easier. So it's those little details and things, again, like the pullers you see are kind of almost like a Toblerone kind of shape, making it a lot easier to hold, especially with gloves or when it's wet. So those little details have really been thought about. You've got a secondary sort of door as well as the mesh door. So mesh door can open up fully if you wanted to. You've got entranceway to the side as well as entrance on the front itself. Little poppers are located down the bottom as well. Just to get, again, mean your easy access point to each individual beam, but you can also kind of tidy it up a little bit neater as and when you want to, so it doesn't look too scruffy. That's the same in the inside when you've got poppers for all the windows as well. You've got kind of this easy pegging system where essentially you've got kind of color coordinated pegging points. So you've got orange dictates as the main four corners, so that's the way you start with, and then you kind of work out from there if you will. I'll tell you what, let's have a little flick round, have a little bit look at what the canopy is like. So it's a really nice sort of depth canopy, as you can see. We've got screens on both sides as well, so if you want to get an enclosure or get the privacy, you can zip them up to the top, and again you've got a zip attachment. There's a little kind of metal carabiner clip located in the canopy here as well as you've got little, again, tabs for cable entries, cable to quite neatly tuck along the side there, as you can see. And I think, to be fair, the ability of kind of enclosing this up with that additional vestibule or mesh vestibule if you preferred, just gives you that flexibility. You can have it, you know, everything kind of hidden out the way, alternatively have the ventilation you actually want. A ground sheet is actually included for the front section as well. Admittedly, with this open front, you probably wouldn't put it down just because it's just to collect water and then it's just going to traipse underneath the tent. So for me, it's one of those things when you buy the enclosure, then you probably would look at putting it down. But again, nice thing having the flexibility as you want it to. But let's bring the camera inside now and talk through a few more features that the Rarotonga Eco or Redux has to offer. So now we're inside, and you can kind of get a bit of a grasp for certainly how the front necessarily looks, and a little bit of almost like an insight into kind of that main living area as well. So we'll sort of work our way through the front. Like I said, we talked about a depth initially on the front. I think we did the front canopy quite well. Moving on into kind of the main area, we've got these two mesh windows and also a mesh door as well. So you've got almost like your front line mesh for outside. So you've got almost a complete bug sort of section in there. And certainly with, if we say mesh a lot more, the mesh side parts, that airflow throughout a tent works really, really nicely. A little mesh point up here as well, again, to help that circulation of air. You've got your kind of normal door to zip up when you don't want necessarily the airflow through, and the same, we've got the curtains behind here. But let me just open up, you're not going to give that to me then. Open it up again. We've got, like I said, those clasps, little buckles that kind of keep everything kind of retained as we want it to. Just making life a little bit easier. Do that both sides. Now you've got a sort of a lip that goes up and down in the actual door. So if you wanted to get that kind of complete thorough seal, you can zip it up, give you that kind of bathtub feel. Alternatively, zip that down, and then you've got a sort of no sort of trip hazard in and out of the actual tent itself. Velcro is located along the whole stretch of the bottom, and that will Velcro to the mesh door, all of the outside door. Again, just to kind of give you, just the mesh door, apologies. No, to the outside door as well. To give you that proper seal against one another. Great headroom height as well, directly into the door is perfectly fine. So being about 6'2", you know, space is quite key. Now, I definitely see this mean more of a kind of a small family of four or a couple's tent, really. Because as soon as you put sort of tables and chairs in here, you're going to fill the space quite quickly, but almost create a bit more of a dead space there if you want to utilise that side door, which we saw on the outside. But yeah, certainly the zip curtains give you that flexibility. You can do what you want with it. So we can bring those kind of mesh sections up almost halfway, fully up to the top, or have it down to the bottom as we previously saw. And again, you've got little button clips just kind of there, little press studs, just make it nice and easy to keep everything retained as and where it needs to be. Moving into the kind of section, we talked about the big window there. There's also a mesh vent down the bottom here, and I'll bring the camera in just a moment. Into the bedroom section now, we've got these front storage pockets to help kind of declutter the main living area of the tent, put things like keys, phones, books and that sort of stuff out there so you can happily know where it's going to be. You've got this palmet kind of around the top as well, just to kind of make it flow and look a bit smarter, which I think is really quite nice. And we've got certainly like a darker kind of bedroom in here as well to hopefully give you a better night's sleep, with a really nice kind of, I think it's about 140 per each bedroom plus about a 210 depth. But the reason being it's quite different is that you've got that rear storage section. So, but that means you can have things like high-rise air beds or camp beds more than happily in there, because the slope doesn't tail off and you haven't got to lose your actual length of the actual bed. So that's quite crucial. In fact, let's pick the camera up and have a little look in. A bit easier to kind of grasp things I'm saying. Everything I'm saying with the 401 is exactly the same in terms of 601, merely just the size is a little bit different. So as we kind of look in, you can see you've got kind of the door sections directly in. You can barely see there's actually mesh there as well, which is quite nice to get that breathability. Bedroom section is obviously nice and dark, as we previously said. The rear storage section could be completely zipped up, or you can have it kind of half open, as I can see here. You've got rear little pockets in the corners as well to kind of declutter the main living area tent, as well as little clips of, you see the orange part up there, so you can have a wardrobe pole that hangs in there. As we look out come through the back section here, you can see those mesh parts, and there's a decent amount of storage, and I can say just almost sort of stand up in the actual tent as well. At the back, admittedly my feet are kind of directly in there, but kind of gives you a bit more of an idea. A great area to maximise your main living space, just to sort of utilise everything you've got here with terms of tables and chairs. A zip divider between two sections give it the feel of a separate sleeping compartment completely. Alternatively, you can zip that back and open it fully up, and then you go, that's the alternative with it fully open. So again, makes it feel a bit kind of bigger, as we see in here. You see kind of the back section of the tent. And again, we've got these little pockets where everything kind of goes into place. You've got actually a nice big mesh panel built into the front section. So if I just very quickly, it's two hands to do this. There you go. So you've got a big section at the front there again, there's mesh behind it. So you can have airflow into the actual tent quite nice and neatly, but then obviously the privacy when you wanted to. Again, little carabiner clips, which you won't see very often, and the little poppers, so you can actually have the mains cable coming in either from left hand side down by the door there, or the right hand side as well. And you not only got that, you've got Velcro located on the underside here, which allows you to use the flexible saber lights that they do, and then you can have a couple linked up. So every single beam has got that same function. So from the bedroom section above the door entrance to the canopy, they've all got those three, fixation points, if you will. As we kind of look around it, like I said, it's the colour of it, I think it looks really quite smart. I definitely, the more and more I look at it, the more I actually prefer it to actually probably the green and the normal range. Down here we've also got a little orange tab, so that's kind of your folding point. So Dometic designed it that you basically bring the back point towards that, and that gives you the perfect width to fold for a bag. For me, I wouldn't never pack it up that way, but it's a nice quirky idea. The back section with kind of that high-rised back show you that extra tunnel section and how you can have a camp bed a bit higher up, because your bedroom really is almost coming halfway between where this point is here. Nice big airflow at the back again, and we've got almost 4 storm straps, 2 more for the event and 2 for the actual structure. It helps to get that roof looking really nice and taut. But yeah, as a new concept for 21, I think actually, to be fair, it was quite well received in terms of the actual Dometic tents. But I think for me, this model, the 401's always been my favourite side, certainly in the Rarotonga, just because I think from a space point of view it works really nicely, pack size and all that as well. And for those information, you can always check a link below this video. It takes you straight to our website where we've got all this information, as well as things like the package deals we do, the extras you can get with it, and also the list of the features are sort of spelled out a bit more to you so you can compare and contrast between other brands. overall, I think, yeah, it's a nice tent. I love the eco story, and I think it's where we need to really be, certainly for the camping industry, is sort of progress forward and try and make less things out of plastic, which essentially is oil. So there's a whole kind of recycled story that I think definitely, you know, companies need to get more on board with, especially with using less plastic around the actual tent when it arrives and all this sort of stuff as well. So it's a great step in the right direction. It's nice to see that a company as big as Dometic are making that step, along with actually a product that's almost sits as its own in kind of the marketplace. So it's got its own unique features, its own unique sizing, its designs. I think it works. So certainly one we'll look to try and have in some form at our kind of indoor showroom in sort of Gloucestershire. So you can always check that if need be. But yeah, let us know if there's anything you would like to know about a tent or anything you would love kind of Dometic to see kind of more in the eco fabrics. But in essence, yeah, that's kind of our little video review on the new Rarotonga Redux fabric in the 401 and also the 601 as well.